Please proceed, Ms. Morse.
Thank you. I come here today as a concerned citizen, taxpayer, voter, and Nova Scotia teacher and vice principal. It was in December of 2015, when Bill 148 was introduced, that I last spoke to this committee about the lack of respect for collective bargaining, our rights under the Canadian Charter, and the importance of democracy. Here we sit 14 months later during Teacher Appreciation Week with Bill 75 hanging over the heads of teachers, another legislative hammer ready to fall. Teachers have bargained in good faith for over a year now. Regretfully, I cannot say the same about this government. During the first round, starting in September of 2015, there was no real bargaining. There were talks between a couple of people, and an agreement was brought to the NSTU negotiating team with the threat of take it or we will use legislation to get a deal. The so-called deal was taken and the membership, and the teachers said no. From January to August 2016, another negotiations happened. Again, the teachers said no because it was practically the same deal that was rejected months earlier. Then more so-called negotiations with the threat of legislation still hanging over our heads. From September 2016 to January 2017, we spent more time trying to get our Premier to listen, but to no avail. The Premier has stated ad nauseum that he negotiated 3 contracts with 2 executives and couldn't get a deal. There was no deal because teachers weren't willing to accept the continuation of our unbearable working conditions. The union went back with deals because government continuously said no, no, no at the table. Now we sit here with a deal being imposed on us against the Charter and free collective bargaining. In December, teachers sat in disbelief when the government locked students out of school under the guise of safety. We were gobsmacked to learn the government was going to introduce legislation to impose a contract, and we were appalled when the Deputy Minister of Education told untruths about our work-to-rule job action that was implemented while we were in a legal strike position. This government has attempted to devalue, deprofessionalize, demoralize, and de-school teachers in an effort to keep us in line, all in the hopes that parents would feel the same way. What the government didn't count on was parents believing this fact, that the teachers of this province have the best interests of students at the forefront. The parents speaking out have been in our schools. They see the deplorable learning conditions the students of Nova Scotia are dealing with each day, and they have witnessed the underfunding firsthand, and they have witnessed why inclusion is not working. Our cries for help have been ignored, and the education system is in crisis, not because of teachers, as the action plan stated, but rather from a lack of funding for resources. I must ask, do any of you, I'm talking about you Liberals, get hit, kicked, or bitten at work? Do you get sworn at while you're at work? Do you get to go to the washroom when you need to? Do you have to bring your own office supplies, printers, computers, etc. to work, or does your employer supply them? Does your employer protect you from abuse? I bet they do. This is some of my working conditions. I was on deferred leave for 6 months this school year. I returned to school on February 1st. On my 4th day at work, I was assaulted by 2 different students, kicked, punched, and verbally abused. I'll tell you a story. I'm probably not allowed to swear, so I'll spell the words. I had a student in the office when I came back from dealing with behaviors in the hallway. He was yelling, 7 years old, yelling at the secretary. I told him to stop, that was disrespectful. Took him to my office. He turned around and yelled, "I'm going home, so call me an F-U-C-K-I-N-G cab and chop chop." I looked at him. by the employer. We collect big money and fundraising money. I'm a teacher, and I should be teaching without being hindered by administrative tasks that have nothing to do with instruction and best practices. Please allow me my professional judgment to do what is best for my students. I invite you to my school to see for yourself the conditions we work in. I'll bet you would want to do the job I do. And if you did, you'd probably soon look for a new vocation. But teachers stay in this profession because they care about their students. But after this week, they will begin to live a new classroom normal. Perhaps those millions of dollars teachers spend to help fund the education system will no longer be there. That loss could total upwards to $10 million. Let's remember, it takes a community to raise a child. The parents and teachers are in the community trying to do just that. The community member we are missing is the government. Why aren't you here to help us? You control funding, distribution of resources, and you have the help that we need. Please get on board and do what is right for our youngest constituents and the future of Nova Scotia. Do it now. It's getting too late. Thank you.